Ambassador Krelter's 4 eyes blinked in synchronized disgust as he reviewed the intelligence report floating before his neural interface. The holographic data streams painted a picture that made his chitinous exoskeleton shiver with unease. After 3 standard galactic years of observation, the Zephyrian Intelligence Division had reached an alarming conclusion about the species calling itself humanity. "Counselors," Krelther announced to the assembled Galactic Senate, his voice carrying the weight of centuries of diplomatic experience, "we have a problem." The vast chamber fell silent. Representatives from 47 species turned their attention to the decorated Zephyrian diplomat. The crystalline ethereals dimmed their luminescence, while the gaseous void swimmers condensed into more focus. Forms, even the notoriously chattering Pequod delegates, ceased their constant telepathic chatter. The species from Sol 3 presents an unprecedented threat to galactic stability. Krelther continued, manipulating the holographic display to show Earth's blue marble suspended in the chamber's center. Their psychological profiles are disturbing. Senator Vexana of the Aquatic Federation rippled her translucent form. "Surely you exaggerate, Ambassador. They're barely a Type 1 civilization. What possible threat could they pose?" Krelther's mandibles clicked ominously. "They call it pack bonding, Counselor. These humans form emotional attachments to virtually anything. Our operatives documented cases where humans risked their lives for creatures they'd known from mere planetary rotations. They anthropomorphize inanimate objects, speak to them, name them. They've been observed showing grief when their mechanical conveyances cease functioning." A collective shudder rippled through the chamber. The hive mind representatives of Kepler 442b buzzed with distress. Such individual emotional investment was incomprehensible to most galactic species. Furthermore, Krelther continued, they exhibit what they term stubbornness in the face of impossible odds, when logical beings would surrender or negotiate. Humans persist. Our behavioral analysts suggest this stems from their evolutionary history as persistent hunters. They simply do not know when to quit. The massive Titan representative, whose species had conquered dozen systems through superior firepower, shifted uncomfortably. Surely their primitive technology limits any real threat. That assumption, Krelther replied grimly, is precisely why they're dangerous. Observe. The hologram shifted to show human settlements across Earth. Cities sprawled across every continent, even in the most inhospitable environments. Humans have built thriving communities in frozen wastelands, scorching deserts, and toxic volcanic regions. They adapted to every environment on their homeworld rather than simply claiming the hospitable zones. When faced with obstacles, they don't go around, they go through. Their mythology is filled with stories celebrating individuals who achieve impossible victories through sheer determination. Senator Quinder of the Rational Collective processed this information through his quantum brain interface. "You're suggesting they're unpredictable?" "I'm suggesting they're terrifying," Krelther corrected. "A species that refuses to acknowledge defeat, that forms deep emotional bonds with allies, and that consistently chooses the most difficult path simply because it's the right thing to do. They will unite the galaxy, counselors, but not under our terms." The chamber erupted in debate. Some representatives dismissed the threat as paranoid speculation. Others, particularly those whose species have fallen to more aggressive civilizations, understood the implications immediately. "What do you propose?" asked the ancient voice of the stellar communion, its psychic emanations carrying the weight of a million-year-old civilization. "Quarantine," Krelther stated flatly. "Immediate implementation of the developmental restriction protocol. We surround their system with monitoring stations and prevent any human expansion beyond their solar boundary. We study them from a safe distance until we can determine how to manage the situation." The vote was surprisingly close, 24 in favor, 23 against. Humanity's fate was sealed by a single decision, 50 Earth years. Later, Captain, Sarah Chum pressed her palm against the viewport of the UE's Defiance, watching the sleek alien vessels maintaining their blockade positions around the heliopause. For 5 decades, humanity had been prisoners in their own solar system, but they hadn't been idle. "All stations report ready, Captain," her first officer announced. Behind them, the bridge crew representing every nation and ethnicity of Earth worked with quiet efficiency. The Defiance wasn't alone. 300 ships hung in formation behind her, each one a testament to human ingenuity and determination. "They were right to fear us," Sarah murmured, thinking of the intercepted communications her intelligence teams had decoded years ago. The aliens had been watching, studying, trying to understand what made humanity tick. They'd identified the traits that made humans dangerous: pack bonding, stubbornness, and an inexplicable tendency to fight for the underdog. What they hadn't understood was that being caged had only made humans more dangerous. "Open a channel to the blockade fleet," Sarah ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing the familiar insectoid features of what her xenobiology team had identified as a Zephyrian commander. The alien's mandibles clicked in what she'd learned was a sign of distress. "Human vessel, you are in violation of Galactic Senate Resolution 2847. Return to your designated." "No," Sarah interrupted calmly. "We're done following your rules." The alien commander's 4 eyes widened. "You cannot possibly challenge the combined might of 47 species. Your technology is primitive. Your numbers are insufficient." Sarah smiled, and somehow that expression carried across species barriers because the alien visibly recoiled. "You're absolutely right," she agreed. "We can't match your firepower or your numbers. But you made one critical error in your assessment. And what is that? You assumed we'd fight you like you fight each other logically, rationally, with clear strategic objectives. But here's what you never understood about humans. We don't fight to win. We fight because it's right. And when we fight for something we believe in, when we're protecting the people we've bonded with, when our backs are against the wall." The Defiance began moving forward, slowly but inevitably. Behind her, 300 human ships followed in perfect formation. "We become absolutely terrifying." The first shots of the human galactic war began exactly as the Galactic Senate had feared, not with superior technology or overwhelming numbers, but with a species that simply refused to stay caged. The Senate had called humanity a threat. Earth was about to prove them absolutely right.